All right, now that we've figured out percentages of a time, we can start to get our lobster moving a little bit more naturally. So let's expand on this idea by looking at the code. What do we got so far? So we got a lobster, and things are happening 75% of the time it's moving. The other 25% of the time, we want it to make the lobster turn and move. Okay, so right away, what I'm going to say I'm noticing here is that, well, let's add this anyways. It's a little inefficient, but I made the other video anyway, so we're going to start there. So we're going to make it move and turn. Okay, but the next piece is we want it turning equally left and right. So make the lobster turn equally left and right. So when we're talking about this, we mean 50-50, okay? So 50% of the time right, 50% left. Okay, so let's put our skills to the test on the whole percentage piece here. So what we're gonna do is we are going to say if greenfoot dot get random number is, we could do 50%, so we could do the 100, but just to show you how this works, another one, we can also say 2, okay? Because the only numbers that would be created from this, or the possibilities are only the number 0 and the number 1, not including 2, so 2 would not happen. Okay, but we could get 0 or 1. So half of those numbers would be, well, the number 0. If we ever got the number 0, that would be 50% of the time. Okay, so let's go here and we're going to say half the time I want it to turn right. And so what we're going to say is turn 5. Else, okay, else is the other 50%, turn left, turn -5. Okay, so now we've got, if greenfoot random number 2 is equal to 0, make it turn 5. So that means 1 out of the possible 2 answers, okay, would be 0. 1 of 2 is 50%. There's 4. We are turning 5 degrees 50% of the time. The other half the time, so that means the other 50%, if greenfoot dot get random number, okay, if that whole situation equals 1. Okay, there's 2 possibilities this could be. So half the time turn this way, the other half the time, okay, it turns the other way. So now we've got that. Now you're probably wondering, why did we create this whole variable up here earlier on? Well, I was going to show you that you can actually break it down a little bit, okay? I'm going to get rid of that for now, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, okay? But we can also just right away use this random number, okay? But I also want to show you that we can store the random number too. So if we wanted to switch this up, we could switch it up so that this was equal to 100, and we could actually use this variable instead in case this is just a little bit too much for you. So we could say random 1 is less than 75. So that makes it a little bit more easy to digest, but keeping it as we had it before works as well. So we can either store the random number and use it, or we can just use it right away like so. Okay, so in other words, this is kind of irrelevant right now with the way that we have it here, but we'll talk more about that later. More importantly, let's test our crab out. So it should be moving 75% of the time. The other 25% should be moving and turning. So let's check it out. We're going to add a little lobster into a world. I think I keep saying crab, I meant lobster. We're going to run. Good, it turns off course about 25% of the time. He also gets stuck in the corner, and I'm going to leave that for you to try and figure out.